Everybody. Just want to get on here and make a video about getting out of your box and exactly what does that mean and like the different aspects of it. So a lot of people, though you think of life and everything you're in as like you're in a box. You're in just this square and you don't actually know what's going on around you or even think about it. But as you start going on your path and this journey, you're going to want to start, getting out of your box, and there's steps you could take, you know, um, like that phrase, how everybody's like, oh, that person is well-rounded, it's because they were able to, peek out the sides of their box a little bit to get, a little bit more circumference, on the thoughts and ideas and everything that's actually happening with them so that they'll be able to, start turning up. It's funny, as soon as I start recording this, people start coming out, but you can't really let that stop you. So yeah, so you got to really start thinking about things in a way to where you're not trapped inside your box. You're not having a single type of mind state. You really got to be able to think about these things, feel these things, sense these types of things that are really all about yourself. And then you go a little bit deeper into be about other things, but once you start not limiting your mindset, because that's really what it is once you're in that box, there's a set linear form, a structured form for everything. It's a lot more logical and not as creative. So basically what I'm trying to say is, get those creative juices flowing. Start thinking about things in different ways, because you're only as creative as you want to be. Your imagination, you can imagine just about everything. So just keep going on and thinking about the different ways they're coming up with new ideas. You might even want to just draw something. Like, even don't even think about what you're going to draw. Just start drawing. You never know what the picture is going to be. Don't worry about if it's a good picture or a bad picture. Just use your imagination and see what actually comes out and what actually comes about from it. And then you'll start to see yourself start thinking about things in different ways and start really seeing your reality in different ways. Because if you have that linear mindset that, oh, I do this way, I do that way, you're actually limiting yourself. And us being those limitless beings, we have to have that opportunity to really, get outside of that box. And some people be like, okay, well, now I've rounded it out. I'm well rounded. I'm in that circle, that cycle. Well, now it's time to break out of that. Because when I say get out of your box, I mean, that's like a circular box. It's still limiting you. It's still keeping you within a certain type of mindset. I'm saying get rid of it. Get rid of all those dividing lines. Start over. See things from whichever way you want to and whichever way you need to. Whichever way spirit is actually leading you to start thinking about these things. Because the more you start getting into that flow of spirit and that, dealing with your intuition, the more creative you're going to be, the more you're going to be able to get out of that box. Because the more that you stay within that linear mindset and that you're in your box, it starts limiting your opportunities. I talk about, once your awareness starts raising up, you can see the opportunities in every moment. But until you actually, take that step to get yourself out of that box, that mindset, however you want to say it, if you don't start taking the steps to get out of that, then you'll start seeing that there's a lot more that you're not able to do because you're limiting yourself. You're stopping what possibilities are there because you can't even see them because they're outside of your box. A big phrase people say, think outside the box. You got to think about why they even say that. Because a lot of the best ideas, a lot of good ideas, they come from outside of that box, outside of that linear mindset. Not what the majority of people are thinking about, but what you want to think about. Where spirit is leading you. All these things. You can't just think about things in the linear mindset. You got to be able to, fix all your new ideas in a way to where they're not, just in one form or another. you're able to actually, use these in different aspects. Because once you start, raising that awareness and actually getting outside of that box, you might see some things apply to other things that you never even knew about. You never even would have thought about if you didn't start to get yourself outside of that box. So make sure that as you go along on your path, you take that time to get those creative juices flowing, to get those ideas flowing, to be able to change up the way you view your reality. Because only you can really do that. There might be a situation or an event that sparks you to be like, oh, I think I'm getting outside the box. But are you? I will ask, that those are questions that you should ask yourself constantly when you're doing stuff. You're like, okay, I think I'm doing this. Or are you? Are you going all in? Are you putting in that 100% effort? Are you really taking the time to make that connection with spirit, to keep growing and keep moving yourselves in the different ways to where your inner fire and that inner light just starts growing brighter and burning hotter and bigger and larger than you ever even dreamed possible? Because again, you're becoming back into your limitless self. You're not keeping yourself within that box and those limiting mindsets. You're able to actually raise yourself up and see things from a different perspective, a higher perspective, a sideways perspective, however you want to say it, because these are really just, words that we're talking about, so that's another thing about getting outside your box. A lot of people put labels on everything and define a lot of stuff, but really and truly, that word or certain things can really mean whatever you want it to mean. I'm gonna let you go a little bit deeper into that, but you got to be able to, use all these opportunities that are allowing you to think outside of that box and get outside of it. Really get outside of your mind, outside of yourself. So where you're actually thinking about things from a totally different perspective. I remember when I used to be a manager and everything, they would tell you, you got to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Well, that helps you a lot, because when you start thinking about things from somebody else's perspective, that's a good way to start getting yourself outside of the box. Now, yeah, you might put yourself in their box, but then that's also not your box. So that's a whole separate type of viewpoint. Now, what happens when you start combining those? You start combining a lot of other perspectives, and then from your personal experience, not from what somebody is telling you, not from what you heard on TV, what you read online, but your personal experience, things that you actually do, things that have effect in your life, not things that are going on elsewhere and this and that. Some of those things you want to make sure that is going on, but at the same time, how does it really affect you? So I almost forgot what I was going with that, but when you start to think about it, all these things, all these different stuff, and I made that video on distractions, they're distractions. They're trying to stop you. They're trying to distract you from going outside of that box. You're like, okay, this is where you go. You hit this idea, boom, that's the wall we created. Now you got to make a left or right turn. You can't keep going forward. We don't want you to keep going forward, because the more creative you get and the more you get outside of that box and stop limiting yourself, man, you'll start seeing a lot of things in your life change. You might even be like, oh, I'm in a bad situation right now. I don't know what I'm going to do, this and that. But then you start to change your perspective, transform that mindset. And you'll be like, oh, I actually have everything I need. You might even realize that you might have more than what you need. And your life will get so much better because you're not limiting yourself to a certain type of mindset. And another thing, when people start thinking about, limiting yourself to a certain type of mindset, I'm not talking about just thinking about the positive, because we can just think about the positive all day, and then, there's stuff going on that are negative that's happening around you, and you totally blind yourself to it and don't even know what's happening anymore. You become out of tune with what's going on around you. So make sure that you're looking at it from both sides. All the sides, not even just both sides, all the sides, because that's another type of box. So, I done gave a lot of different ideas that for you guys to go ahead and go within and do some more searching on. You got to make sure that you're not limiting yourself into these different mindsets and different mentalities and different viewpoints, because there's so many more. There's so much more out there for us to actually discover and keep doing. But if we don't actually take the steps to apply this information and really start to get out of that box, you'll never see it. This funny phrase when they be like, oh, no, I was once blind, now I see. Well, you were blind. You're blind to certain aspects because, again, you were within that box. That was a limiting viewpoint. Now you can see. Now you can see what's outside of that. Now you can see the other opportunities. You can see more of the information. You can see more of what's within yourself, what's outside of yourself, how are you interacting with everything. So don't keep doing this to yourself. Don't keep. Yeah, so please take these ideas and use them, apply them in your reality for yourself to see how this is changing in your exact life, in your reality that's going on around you. Stop being limited and become limitless. But I think that's enough information for one video. Always, if you guys want more information, check out the different Connects YouTube channels, like Brother Bandon, Austin, Jessica, Brett, Kyle. There's so many out there. I haven't really been putting them in the descriptions. I'm gonna try to make sure I add it back in later because I record these all off my phone. But check them out. Check out Astro Soulset on YouTube. Reprogram the Matrix. You want to take it a step further? Check out reprogramthematrix.com. There's a lot more information that you can have access to. So don't limit yourself and become the limitless beings that you are. So high vibes and peace in and out. My full love and my gratitude.